All right, time for another one here. Try to keep it somewhat quick. Just want to go over a few things. Nothing too crazy, but that's what I always say. Anyway, so we got, this is for the Desert Hills Premium Outlet. This is for the Food Pavilion. They're taking down an old sign, putting up the new fresh. Old bust is out. New fresh hotness is in. So mostly I just want to go over this logo. It's got some weird processes to it, but nothing we can't handle. So let's get after it. So this is the lay of the land. I broke it up all O9O for the logo part. We've got shoebox pushy cabinet. Got all the parts there. Got a couple power vaults. Don't know how much it's going to take. We've got ourselves some custom size, weird size tabs for the logo. We've got regular channel letters coming in. So there's some 063 white and 3/16 white faces coming in. I did do 3/16 clear Tuffy on all of it. So don't get it, don't be like, oh, we don't normally do it that way. We do have a sort of reverse channel 3/16 thing here. Plus you'll see that the backer here sort of holds the logo together. So I wanted that strength. And I also wanted, that. So this is for the logo. So since we already had 3/16 up on the table, might as well just do the cabinet as well. So yes, it is 3/16, not the usual 1/8 that we do for backers. So there's a reason why. And this is why, because it's going to be one big giant push through compromised face. So keep an eye out for this. You got 3/16 or 3/4 acrylic here. I'm telling Route, I want this to be a little bit beefier flange, thicker maybe, wider, all of that. So, and then we got 1/2 inch push throughs for the cabinet. So it's how we do. Got our pattern, all that. So while we're here, this is just regular channel letters, nothing too crazy, but yes, it is a funky style here. The eye on the number 1 eye here is thicker. It's wider with 2 C's than this eye. So just keep that in mind. So as you're trim capping, I did do a V-bit reference kiss. I did some number 1s and I did some number 2s. So keep an eye out for that. Install, I encourage you to be paying attention. If you could pass this on to install, that when they go out there, they don't, go, oh, this doesn't fit. So there is a number 1 and a number 2. I also did bring that along to the pattern. So when they see that install, if you're paying attention, for number 1 and number 2. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, these are just going to be 5-inch off the coil. Pretty straightforward. Thank goodness there's no serifs. Okay, so for the cabinet, it's just a push through, shoebox pushy cabinet. The only thing is, of course, it is 136 inches or whatever. So we did have to seam. So, but we handle that. But it's just going to be a Lord's End seam patch thing. Hit up the ends like we do. And then that means though that I had to compromise the returns for the backer piece. So you'll have the splice over here to put this together for the full backer there. But on this side, we'll have that funky thing. So you'll just take this guy here, lords it into this guy, and then lords this in. And then it allows you to, these wings right here, it allows you to go ahead and tack that to the return. So that way it can kind of stabilize this notch like that. So you'll have this little notch there. So you'll just kind of burn those there. And then that way they can slide the face over and it's clearanced. I did remember to send you the wings this time. The gussets are there and they just go across the top. This thing's only 10 inches tall, so it's not that big a deal. It's just, longer than we'd usually like to do it because that way it fits in the break better. But anyway, so nothing crazy there. So you got your letters, you got your cabinet. So let's get after this logo. So the logo is dual lit. It's going to be too big and heavy with the push through and all that, and compromised to just be relying on a polycarbonate backer. So I went ahead and made it a sort of aluminum cabinet with the sort of outer ring suspended. So that's why I just wanted to point that out to you. We've done this before though, but I have reference notches that we want to make sure things get done in the proper order to make sure everything lines up, because I already have your mounting holes all set up and everything. So if this goes together like I'm planning, no plan survives contact with the enemy though, so we'll see what happens. So you start with your backer, go ahead and just run this through the slip roll, get your curl going. But if you just take the little reference marks and make sure that they line up with the appropriate ones, so the B is the bottom, and if you do that, then all of your mounting holes will already be lined up. And you want to start to where you got your top over here, and then you make your seam notch here like we do. So I've got a long boy and a short boy here that will overlap like this, and then you can go ahead and throw a quick weld right in there and burn it shut. So that'll be the part that goes to the wall that's ready to receive. And then I have the different gussets, and I went ahead and even, put a little reference kiss for the fork to complete. You will have to 4x the LEDs up on there and make sure that you get an LED right here so there's no shadow too much, that's coming out. And you'll have to put an LED up in the gusset there. So, but I have those right there for you just to remind you that you got to extend them. These right here are those are just reference lines to get level for install, just to make sure that's leveled off. So you're just going to go ahead and burn that around, burn these gussets in, and then these gussets are clearanced in order to touch the inappropriately. They'll touch the return there, and then you can just burn those right to that, just like that. So you would just work your way around. So that way this ring is going to be nice and strong. It's got lots of strength. That way it's all good to go. Then you'll go ahead and make the actual, face part. So this one's super funky because, again, it has this push through 3/4 ring that just cuts everything in half. So there's no structure. So that's always fun. So you'll have your main body here. So what you're going to do is, you've done this before, you'll just get your full return, go ahead and run it through the slip roll, and then push it to the outside of the scribe. And then same thing, make sure you get your bottom lined up with the bottom, and then work your way around. And these little reference kisses, make sure that they line up with these reference kisses. And then your mounting holes will all be taken care of. And then you're going to bring it around and make sure where the S is here at your 1 o'clock or whatever, or 11 o'clock, depending on which way it's flipped. That's where you're going to put your seam. And then that way it'll clearance that notch there when you slide it together. So it should be all good. So that's the inner part. Make sure that you shoot all your studs first. So you have studs on this outer ring, and you got studs on the inner part here. Obviously, it'll be very tough to get the gun in there once you get your returns. So shoot all studs first. Shoot all studs first on this ring. Then just go ahead and burn it to the inside of this guy here. Work your way all the way around and secure it up. You'll be good to go. And that technically is done. That's done with this part. Then you have the outer ring, which I gave you, your guys here. This guy here can be kind of anywhere it needs to be. You can start. I encourage you though to maybe put the seam, stagger it between. Don't put it on a stud, and then just work your way around. I did this in 2-piece because this is longer than 10 feet. So go ahead and burn it. Gave you an inch and extra inch like we do. That's just to the outside. Then you'll see that the studs, and so this is your actual polycarbonate ring there. That is what's going to actually hold those 2 pieces together. So at that point, I think for fabrication, even before this is actually, diffused and whatnot, go ahead and take this, and you're going to temporarily hold it together. And then you're going to then reverse channel letter style. You're going to go ahead and put your tabs onto this ring here. And this ring doesn't have anything protruding out. Obviously, there's no mounting or anything. This is just going to hold the LEDs for the outer side. So your LEDs are going to go right here. That's going to blast your push through ring, and then you'll get your reverse glow out. So you're going to take this thing, even before the push through's through there. I wouldn't even put it through there because this will work out. Just take this ring here, put it together so it's assembled. Flip it over onto your table so it's upside down, and then you're going to mount this ring with the things like a normal reverse channel letter. So make these screws kind of like a normal, kind of down this way, but you'll go ahead and from the inside, with the backer out of it, you're just going to drill holes through, but make sure that the screws are up high. Don't put them down where you normally do, because the backer is going to be there. So put these up higher, sort of in the middle of like I have it here. So you'll do like a thing like that and like that. I do realize that if you ever had to take this ring out, you'll have to, take the whole thing off the wall, but you're going to be doing that anyway. So that's fine. So I understand these screws won't be accessible, but I thought about pressure fitting that. I think we would probably want to make sure that this is all nailed down properly. It's up to you though. If you think that it doesn't need it, it's up to you, but we for sure want to be able to access these. So you're just going to go ahead and, so like I say, so pre-mount this, put the backer, assemble this silly thing, and then go ahead and install this ring, shoot your screws, and then that should do it. I would go ahead also and encourage to like make sure that it gets back to where it's supposed to. Once you have this ring in this spot, go ahead and like scribe it and mark it so that way you know which way is up. So that way each of these holes you drill by hand are not going to be accurate all the way around. So that way you make sure that this thing gets back in its proper position. So I don't have any positioning reference marks on it. You can see it's just one big ring. So you're going to want to make sure you handle that. So wherever this mounts, make sure you reference, you know, this is top, and then make sure it gets back in the same spot. But I think that's it. You just go ahead and shoot your studs. You'll have that ring on there, and then assemble it, shoot these through. And then I think at that point it is ready for paint. So, and then when it comes time to reassembly, you're just going to put LEDs all the way around the perimeter. And then I gave you 2 power holes. They are going to be on the sides. So you'll have power, but anyway, they're right here and right here in the return. And they're like right there. Yeah. So the power coming in for this whole outer perimeter LEDs will be at 9 o'clock or 3 o'clock. It's your choice. And then you'll go ahead and run a long enough leash. I usually don't like to do this, but it's the only way it's going to happen, is that install will have to hold this in place for a moment, and they'll have to make a connection, and then they can go ahead or talk to install. This might work is if you make this leash long enough and just put a long old leash on there, then they can just go ahead and feed it into there and push it through and then slide this on. So they don't actually have to make a connection in the field. Just make this leash for this outer ring. But yeah, that has to be separate. So maybe that's the way to do it. And it is clearance. It's up high enough so that the return of the backer is here. So the leash will be up here. So that's what those are for. So you can choose either 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock. But that'll probably be the best way, is just do a monster leash coming off, and then they can just feed it into the same hole as the other LEDs here and just have 2 connections going into the back. So, otherwise, I think you guys got it. Just wanted to point those few things out. Again, shoot all your studs first. Otherwise, it'd be a pain in the butt to get those on there. But yeah, good luck. I hope it all works out. You can see why I want to make sure I get that extra flange on there. We want to make sure this is beefy, because essentially that's going to help hold the whole thing together. And just that ring there is the one that's going to hold the whole thing together. So otherwise, I'm pretty sure that's it. I think you guys got it. If you have any questions, hit me up.
Check the technique. Check the technique.